So it's a really beautiful day here, and I needed to harvest some rhubarb, and I've been thinking about regrets again. I kind of just want to say that um, all these thoughts about regrets are actually not coming from a super negative place. I'm having a really nice season of life. Just trying to use that nice season to just reflect on some things. And I've got some rhubarb over here, and I'm gonna harvest it. All right. So, the one that I've been thinking about most recently is more of like a regret that's like a concept or just like not seeing the value in something. And the thing that I've been thinking a lot about is traditions. I don't know. I think I've just always kind of hated the idea of traditions, or at the very least, like, just didn't really value them that much. And I've been thinking, like, why? Like, why did I have such a hard time with traditions and seeing any value in them? And I think a big part of it is like the belief that a lot of people, in my mind, were just kind of being performative with that kind of stuff. Like, they didn't really believe it. They just did it because, like, that's what you're supposed to do. And that rationale never really sat well with me. The just because you're supposed to kind of thing. Maybe it's partly my personality, and another part, I'm sure, when and where I grew up. I'm in the United States. I'm part of the generation I'm a part of. Being, genuine or real is really, I think, seen as a virtue, and it's one that I really, resonated with. And I felt like if you were just doing traditions, that you were just being, I don't know, like, inauthentic, I guess. Right now I'm getting some rhubarb, and I needed to get out these flowers here. Isn't that cool? Rhubarb actually makes some really cool flowers. I just needed to get rid of these because they'll suck the energy from the plant. Anyway, it's not that I had no traditions. I grow up in New York, in the United States, born in the 80s. There's certain things that I've seen happen year after year, like, cultural things like Christmas or Easter, Thanksgiving, 4th of July. Those things were like, kind of, the traditions were there, but it's because the culture made sure the traditions were there. Like, I don't feel like I necessarily went out of my way to have that tradition. I feel like it was presented to me, and I just, happily took it. So because those traditions were just there, and I was happy to participate in them, I feel like I had those types of traditions, and I would call those like intentional cultural traditions. I think I also had some unintentional traditions, like with my family. Like, growing up, I grew up with my dad, and yeah, love my dad so much, so thankful for him. But like, no two holidays were the same. So it wasn't like the traditions. The tradition was, it was Christmas and we were acknowledging it. I wouldn't say there was like a tradition of like, we open gifts at this time, or we have this food, or even we're in this place, because that was just not what was happening. Each year really did feel different. There's some unintentional traditions that my dad made up. He's a big hiker, loved hiking, and we would go frequently. And whenever we would go hiking, we would stop at this place. It was like a really nice bread shop. It was called Bread Alone. And we didn't have a lot of money, but my dad would pick up a nice loaf of like a sourdough bread, and we would take it with us on the hike. And then when we got to the vista point, we would eat it. And that became a tradition. And that's a tradition I just, like, I hold in my heart. Like, I love that because it's organic, And I think I probably always liked those types of traditions, ones that just kind of spilled out of natural life. I did not have an appreciation for more regimented traditions. Like what really changed my mind about more regimented traditions having value. I'm not saying they're all good. Just I now see a value that I never saw before. Was that I felt like I could always just like make up a tradition. I'd figure it out, and then I would have something more meaningful. I wouldn't have to like follow a tradition. And I realized, yes, I could do that sometimes. So like if things are going well and I'm doing well, I maybe would have the bandwidth to do that. But there's going to be times, and there have been times in life where that was just not possible. Like with the mental load that was in my mind, I could not function, plus come up with a way of coping with it, plus help other people cope with it. Like I just realized like I can't actually do that. Now maybe a more extroverted person could do that, or a person with a different personality could do that, but I realized that I can't do that. So the way that I feel like this has most clearly been seen, for me anyway, is when it comes to grief. I'm in my 40s now. I've had a bunch of friends, unfortunately, lose their parents over the years, and I've seen it where they don't really have a way to grieve. Like it's kind of like maybe the grieving process might be like you have the wake or the funeral, and then that's it. And there's nothing that happens moving forward. There's nothing that happens 6 months into extreme grief, when everyone is kind of left and everything, new issues come up in life. So people are maybe distracted about some of those issues. And I was watching this past winter, what's the movie? It's a Wonderful Life. And I don't know if you remember, if you've ever seen it, but after the dad dies, they wear something called like a mourning band, like a black band around their arm. And they wear that for a year after their loved one passes away. That way people know, like, I'm in mourning. And that kind of sounds, I don't know, I never really got it. Except like now I think about it. If I saw somebody who had a black armband on, maybe I would be a little more likely to be gracious, or a little bit more understanding if they don't call you back, or fill in the blank. I just feel like it's a visual reminder of what's happening to somebody, like internally, that was probably really helpful, and a way of honoring the person who's mourning too, not just the person who's lost, but the person who's like carrying that heavy weight. And I was like, wow, I kind of wish we still did that. And I was talking with my dad about that, and he lives now down in Tennessee, and there's a tradition, I forget what they call it, it's like something like grave decorating, like I don't know if that's right, but that's the gist of it, that every year the family goes to their family like cemetery plot and decorates the grave, and they all get together and they reminisce about that person. I thought like, wow, like that's that's beautiful. Like it's a way of welcoming other people into that shared grief. I was thinking about these like dear friends I have, their sisters, and their mom passed away from cancer, and they were just very much there for their mom that whole time when she was going through all the treatments and when she was in hospice. And they don't talk with each other about that time at all. I'm sure they talk about their mom, because they love their mom, but there isn't a vehicle to talk about that grief. And I remember one time I was taking a hike with them, and one of them brought up something, and her sister never heard that. and she's like, yeah, like we don't ever talk about this with each other. And so she wasn't against talking about it, she was talking about it with me. But she's like, there's just not a chance or an opportunity that it should be brought up, so it's just not brought up. There's an intentionality, I think, behind traditions that I don't know, like really just bless people, especially when they're grieving. It's hard to figure out what to do, like when you're in grief, and then you need to create a whole new way that's healthy to deal with your grief. Like you're just, maybe some people can do it. I just don't think that most people can do that well or easily. So I think that that's kind of a loss, that we've lost those more like regimented ways of dealing with that. Even like showing affection and love. Like if 20 years ago, if you asked me, is it nice to receive like candy and flowers, I'd be like, no, like it's just, that's what everyone does. It's not even worth it. And now I realize, like, no, it's actually it's nice, and I don't need that person to reinvent the wheel. It's not really about the candy or the flowers. It's about that person having a clear way to show love and appreciation, and that's what traditions can do. Now, on the flip side, the way they can be bad is just like somebody gets flowers and chocolate and and there's no real thought behind it. It's just that's what you're supposed to do. I think that's probably what I was bristling against, if I had to guess. It's hard to tell, right? If I could only interview myself 20 years ago, I'd love that opportunity. Look at these. There's like so many of these. I can't believe it. I think I have to divide this this rhubarb plant. There's probably like 15, 20 of these. That's crazy. Oh, there's even more. So thinking about like, what do I regret? Well, I regret just kind of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, thinking there was no value in traditions, so that therefore maybe not paying attention to them, not being intentional about them. I do regret that. Something that I used to do a lot was when it came to like writing letters, like if I couldn't find something meaningful to say, like deeply profound, I don't know what I was thinking, I just wouldn't write a letter. And then that meant that I didn't let that person know I was thinking about them, because I couldn't say something that was profound. And I just kind of wish there were times that I just wrote the letter, even if it was like, oh, I'm just thinking about you and I love you, and that's it. And that would suffice, because what I was really saying is, you're on my heart, and I want to let you know that. So I've gotten better at that, thankfully. So I think what I learned from it is to be, just more aware of maybe the potential or the opportunity to have traditions. Like now, my tradition, I don't know if you want to call it a tradition, but like on a holiday, like, it's Christmas, I'm going to church. I'm going to spend time with family in some capacity over those days. My husband and I, it was really sweet. One Christmas, like maybe 2 years ago, he took all my Christmas gifts that he got me, and he put them out on the table, and he made a display. It was just so sweet. And then I was like, oh, I love that. Like, I think my heart was open to the thought that if you see something and you like it, you can adopt it, and that can become a tradition. And so then it was like his birthday is in January. So in January, I took all his gifts and put them on the table and made like a little display. And then I said to him, I was like, oh, well, I didn't buy anything new to make the display. I just used what was around and used my creativity and made a display that way. And I don't think I said it, but when he made my Christmas display, it was so sweet. He got just like a Christmas stocking, like a plain one, and he got glitter and glue, put my name on it, made it, and that just like touched my heart. Like, it was just so sweet, because it's also not like him. He's not like a crafty guy. Like, he's talented, but he doesn't do crafts. It was just very kind. It was very sweet. It was lovely. And now, for the past 2 years, on Valentine's Day and our anniversary and birthdays and Christmas, that's what we've been doing. And now that is a tradition. And it's a way to make something special a little extra special, kind of like the hiking, like taking a hike with my dad. That was special. The way you made it extra special is to get that treat and have that there. But we did it each time, which made it predictable and something to look forward to. And I love that. So, what can I do about now? Well, just be aware, be open in a way that I wasn't beforehand, and see what's next. All right, well, I've got the rhubarb that I need. I'm going to make a rhubarb cardamom drop biscuit cake. So we'll see how that goes. Wish me luck. Bye.